Imagine for a second, what if everything you owned, all those little things that hold your memories, were just suddenly in someone else's house? That's the really powerful question at the heart of Marga Minko's short story, The Address. We're going to dive into this story, and it really makes you think about what's actually important when it feels like everything is gone. The story kicks off with this one simple question: do you still know me? But wow, there is so much packed into those 5 words. It's not just, hey, remember me. It's more like a desperate hope, a plea to connect with a life that was completely shattered by war. She's basically asking if any piece of her old world is even real anymore. All right, so our first section, a knock on the door. Picture this. Our narrator has been clinging to this one address for years. It's the only thread she has left to her old life. And now, she's standing right there, at number 46 Maronei Street, about to knock on the door that might just unlock her entire past. So she says, "I'm Mrs.'s daughter," and the response she gets? A flat, cold, "No, I don't know you." Just like that. The door is opened, but it's also slammed shut in your face. It's not just a no, it's like this woman is trying to erase her, to deny that her past ever even happened. You can just feel her world start to shake in that moment. For a second, you can imagine she's thinking, did I get it wrong? Is this the wrong address, the wrong person? But just then, she sees something. Not a face she recognizes, but a thing. A flash of color, a piece of clothing. And boom, everything clicks into place. And there it is, the anchor object. It's her mother's green knitted cardigan. The one with those specific pale wooden buttons. This isn't just any sweater. It's solid proof. It's the lifeline that tells her, no, you're not crazy. Your memories are real. The woman at the door can lie, but that cardigan, it tells the absolute truth. And then the woman says something that is just chilling. "Have you come back? I thought that no one had come back." Wow. With just that one sentence, we suddenly understand the horrific backdrop to this whole story. It's not just a surprise for her, it's utter shock. It tells you everything you need to know about what happened to the narrator's family and so many others during the war. Okay, section 2, a wartime arrangement. So this begs the question, right? How in the world did her mother's cardigan get here? The story then takes us back in time to an arrangement made during the war. An arrangement that seemed helpful on the surface, but was it really? So let's meet Mrs. Dorling. She's an old acquaintance who just happens to show up again right when things are getting really bad during the war. And she makes this offer to save all of their family's nice things. Sounds like a lifesaver, right? But even from the start, you get this little feeling in your gut that something's off. The narrator remembers her mother saying, "She wanted to save all my nice things. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything." And you can totally understand her mother's perspective. In a time of such fear, of course you'd grab onto any offer of help. But she doesn't see what her daughter sees, that maybe this isn't kindness, but something else entirely. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. Every time Mrs. Dorling visited, she'd lug away more of their life. The table silver, all the antique plates, these big, beautiful vases, the crockery. I mean, literally, piece by piece, their home was being emptied out and headed over for safekeeping. So you have to ask, what's the real cost of this so-called safety? It's amazing, isn't it? A kid's gut feeling can be so sharp. The narrator, even back then, didn't see a kind helper. She saw how heavy the suitcases were, how much effort Mrs. Dorling was putting in. It didn't look like kindness. It looked like, well, something else. And that doubt she felt as a child, it's all making a terrible kind of sense now. Next up, objects in a strange place. So, getting the door shut in her face doesn't stop her. She actually goes back a second time. And this time, she gets inside. It's not Mrs. Dorling who lets her in, but her teenage daughter, who has no idea she's living in a house full of someone else's memories. And what she sees is just so jarring. The text says, she was in a room she knew and did not know. All her family's things are there, the furniture, the woolen tablecloth, but it's all arranged in this weird, tasteless way. There's this muggy smell. It's like walking into a bizarro version of your own home, where everything is familiar but completely wrong. It's like she's surrounded by the ghosts of her own life. These things that were once part of a warm, loving home, they're just there. stripped of their context, of the life that gave them meaning. They feel oppressive now. The love and the laughter they once represented, it's all gone. Then her eyes land on the woolen tablecloth, and she remembers this tiny detail, a little imperfection that only a family member would know, a burn mark on the edge that they just never got around to fixing. To anyone else, it's nothing, but to her, it's a piece of her history, a secret little story embedded in the fabric. And then she sees it. She finds the burn mark, and that's the moment it all just hits her. The full, crushing weight of it all. It's not just a tablecloth. It's her life. Her family's most private, intimate memories are just things in someone else's house. Things being used without a second thought. And this brings us to a huge turning point in the story. The decision to forget. Because standing there, in that strange room, she realizes something incredibly profound. She has to make a choice. It just hits her. These objects, they've been cut off from the life that gave them any meaning. They're just empty shells now. The value wasn't in the silver fork or the antique plate itself. It was in the family dinners, the laughter, the life that was lived with them. And that life is gone. You can't get it back by getting the stuff back. So she comes to this resolution kind of in a split second. First, she realizes these things have lost their magic. They don't link her to her past anymore. Second, she acknowledges that seeing them now just hurts. It brings back painful, strange memories. So third, she decides to forget the address, to just let go of that physical connection. And finally, she decides to move on, to live a life that isn't weighed down by all these things. As she's leaving, she hears the clinking of the cutlery in a drawer, and the sound of her family's silverware it's not a happy sound anymore. It's the final straw. And she thinks to herself, of all the things I had to forget, that would be the easiest. She just turns and walks away from the house, from the objects, from that whole chapter of her life. So let's wrap this up by talking about the main theme here, the weight of memory. The whole story leads us to this really big question. What do we do with the past when it's just gone? Do we hold on to the physical pieces, or do we let them go? In the end, she realizes the address was correct, but the memories, they just weren't there anymore, not in that house. She went there thinking she needed to reclaim her family's belongings, but what she found was something so much more important, the strength to move on. She learned you can't find your past in a place or in an object. The things that really matter, the love, the strength, you carry those inside you. And the story leaves us with this huge, lingering question. If our memories don't live in our things, where do they go? I think the address suggests that real memory isn't tied to a physical place. It lives in us, in the courage we have to keep going. And maybe the most powerful way to honor the past isn't to hold on to it so tightly, but to make space for a future. And that's something worth thinking about, isn't it?